Hello, my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then welcome to my channel, and today's video is going to be a list of books that I got lost in. These are going to be books that just completely sucked me into the world and let me escape reality to my preferred extent. We are looking for high levels of engagement, immersion, and investment here. There will be links to the content warnings for these books down in the description below, and then there will also be links to my journal with me's and spoiler-free reviews for these books because I do have those for a variety of these books. Okay, so yeah, I have 6 books here, but also kind of not 6, but it's fine. This list was very difficult for me to narrow down, but I ended up just choosing a handful of books that fit. We're just gonna go with alphabetical order here so they're not ranked or anything, because I would literally be so mad at myself if I ranked these and then realized I forgot a book that could have been on this list later on, because I do feel like that is a very, very real possibility. But yeah, with that, let's get into it. So the first book on this list is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is book 1 of the Between Earth and Sky trilogy, and it is inspired by the civilizations of the pre-Columbian Americas. Black Sun takes place in a city called Tova around the time of the winter solstice, which is usually a time for celebration and renewal. Or at least it would be, but the solstice this year is around the same time as a solar eclipse, which, according to the sun priest, signifies an unbalancing of the world. At the same time, a ship begins its adventure towards Tova carrying a seemingly harmless passenger, but the captain has her suspicions of him. So this one is kind of different from the other books on this list because I feel like it's the one that shocked me the most with just how invested I got in it. Mostly because I've read Trail of Lightning by this author before, and I did enjoy it, but not nearly to this extent, and I did not nearly get as sucked in and invested in it. And then this book also broke me out of a really long reading slump, so that was definitely appreciated. There were just so many interesting characters and concepts, and also just the overall world and the features of the world, and it all just combined into something that really worked for me. And I do think the sequel's out now at the time of filming this video, and that will probably be in my next book haul, and I am just so excited to be back into this story because I just feel like I need to be with this story. So next up we have Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. This is an Own Voices book that follows our main character Gadriel, who wants to prove that he is a real brujo to his family who have problems accepting his gender. Due to this, he and his cousin perform the needed ritual themselves as they set out to free the ghost of his cousin who was recently murdered. However, instead of his cousin, he accidentally summons the ghost of his high school's bad boy. Left with little choice, Gadriel agrees to help this guy find out what happened to him, but the more time that they spend together, the less he wants him to go. I feel like I haven't talked about this book on my channel for a little while now, which feels absolutely wrong because it is absolutely one of my favorite books of all time. This book does have its serious and dark moments, but something about the atmosphere and the writing really grabbed me and felt comforting. And I think maybe it felt comforting at the way I was just so deeply invested into this story, and maybe that was also me just feeling like I was in a favorite book and taking comfort in that. And I was able to just sit with that feeling and get invested in these characters, their banter, the storyline, and again, just the overall beautiful and lovely atmosphere of this book. And it's just such a great fall read, and I desperately want to reread it, which rarely happens to me to this extent, but I also want to wait for the fall, but that has been very difficult for me because I also just want to reread it every time I see the book. So next I have Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. This is a West African fantasy that follows our main character Tarisai, who has been raised in isolation by her mother, who was often absent from her childhood. When she reaches the right age, her mother sends her to the capital to compete with other children for a spot on the Crown Prince's Council. Each council member gets connected to the others through the Ray, which creates a very deep bond with all of the members. This is a closeness that Tarisai craves. However, her mother made a wish for her to kill the Crown Prince, and she is being compelled to obey this wish. So this spot on the list also by extension goes to Redemptor, which I've been trying to vlog for the past 2 months, going on 3 now. But I am far enough into this book where I feel comfortable including it here on this list. It is the characters that really make this series for me. There are so many interesting characters, and I just want to know everything about them and keep seeing them grow and have storylines. I also really like the atmosphere that these books create, and also just like the storytelling as structure feels really satisfying. And because there are just so many characters and things that I want to know more about and follow, I just get so sucked in and invested into these stories whenever I pick up these books, which is so much fun. So next up, I have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This follows our main character who has been obsessed with the lost city of Weep since he was 5 years old, but believes he is not the correct person for this dream to have chosen, as he thinks he is not bold enough. However, when a legendary godslayer and warriors present him with the opportunity, he finds himself with the chance to either seize his dream or lose it forever. So this book is my current read, and also the book that inspired this video. Because of that, I did feel the need to include it, even though I'm like less than halfway, but it's fine. This book is like so shiny. Oh my gosh. I was so nervous going into this book because I just was not a huge fan of the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, but I had just heard so many amazing things about this book and about this series that I just needed to pick it up and give it a try. And I am so glad that I finally did. It's a long book, but there's so much attention to details, and I really, really appreciate this. Kind of like with Raybearer, there are just so many things that I want to know more and everything about. It also feels kind of slow paced, so it works really well with just like keeping me relaxed and present within the story. And it also kind of goes for like, it's a long book, so there's a lot of story left too. And yeah, I'm not done with it yet, and I do wish I owned the sequel because I feel like this is well on its way to 5 stars, and I feel like I just want to read it all the way through and just stay in this world. But also, I am just so happy that this series is finally in my life right now. So next up, I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This follows our main character who makes a bargain one night in France in 1714 in order to obtain her freedom. This bargain makes her immortal, however she is also now cursed to be forgotten by everyone that she meets. This book follows her adventure and life as it extends through many different continents and centuries, and her life continues like this until one day she comes across a man in a bookstore who actually remembers her name for the first time in nearly 300 years. I am limiting myself to one V.E. Schwab book for this video because I feel like every book I've ever read from this author could be on this list. And this is the one I went with because I've really enjoyed everything from this author, but this one is probably my favorite. The concept of the book is so interesting and has a really beautiful atmosphere. And on that note, I do feel like there are a lot of things about this book that are so beautiful besides the atmosphere. Like, it just feels like a really beautiful story. And again, it felt slow-paced and very character-focused, and with V.E. Schwab as the author, the story just really captivated me, and I was in love with it and completely immersed in it from beginning to end. I messed up my order. Yep, this is in the wrong order. It's okay. So next up, I have The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty, and this extends to like the entire trilogy. The City of Brass follows our main character who accidentally summons a djinn during a con and is forced to come to terms with the fact that magic is actually real, even though she didn't believe in it before. Okay, so again, the spot on this list goes to like all 3 books, even though I've only finished the first 2 and I've only started the last one, and also like I don't feel like getting the other 2 out because these are all very large books. When I first picked up The City of Brass, I told myself to just be patient and relax because this series is just so incredibly long. And I told myself like, hey, there's a lot of story in here, and I found comfort in that idea, and also like the idea that I was going to be with this story and with these characters for a long time. This trilogy does have so much going on, and it provides just like a lot to get lost in, so that also worked. I feel like the characters are the driving force here, and I've just gotten so attached to them. And there's also just like a ton of stuff about the world and the politics and the story to remember and just like engage with as I'm reading. And the writing style did take me a while to get used to, but I did, and now I don't even notice it besides like the way I admire it. And I do really admire it for like always fully bringing me into this world and just like the atmosphere that the writing helps create. It's a series that has been there for me for so long now because I have just taken my time with it. It has gotten me through like so many tough reading slumps, and it has at times been like the only series of books that I could pick up during those slumps. I honestly cannot even imagine a time when I no longer have this series to like pick up and read for the first time, even though that time is coming because I am on the last book, whether I'm only 100 pages into it or not. And yeah, this is just definitely one of my favorite trilogies of all time, and I'm just so incredibly grateful for the way it has captured me over the years and then also currently. Okay, so that was the final book, or at least like final set of books. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that, and hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye!